change lives. So we want you to know about NJ211.
It's a referral service for anyone in crisis, even children.
I am living proof that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
And it's not a train, it's help. It's NJ211.
Hello and welcome to New Jersey Politics. I'm Laura Jones. Well, the CDC and the White House, they have said you can ditch the mask in public places if you have been fully vaccinated. So many retailers like Target, Walmart, they're saying, hey, you don't need masks either in their stores. Hold on a second, New Jersey, though. Not so much in New Jersey. Governor Murphy is going it alone in the lower 48. Hawaii, too, is still keeping some of their mask mandates in place and requiring people who are vaccinated in New Jersey to continue to wear masks in public places. And we are going to bring in Jeff Edelstein. He is a columnist with the Trentonian, and he's been covering New Jersey politics for a long time. And we're so glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Laura.
Yeah. Well, you have a great column called Governor Murphy Can Have His Cake and Eat It Too. Before we get to that, I wanted just to talk to you a little bit of what I'm following, because I've followed New Jersey politics for a good, covered it full time for 20 plus years. And I'm seeing some inconsistencies, or at least inconsistencies in reporting. And some of my former colleagues are kind of, asking Governor Murphy, hey, what's up with the numbers here? You're saying that numbers are going down, but are these really false numbers? I mean, what's your take on what's going on as far as transparency goes in giving us an exact idea of how safe are we, how healthy are we, those numbers coming from the state?
Yeah, well, so the whole thing with the numbers really started, it's been going on for months, actually, where people on Twitter mentioned it, where it just seemed as if there were a lot of old cases being added to what are considered new cases every day. Eventually, reporters started getting around to asking that question exactly, including Alex Dan of News 12 could really let it off. And, we were told over and over again that that's not the case, that there are no old cases being added. But meanwhile, people who are, actively following this said that it is the case. Eventually, finally, they kind of gave an answer that allowed both sides to be right in a way. They said that they were basically, and honestly, it sounded kind of fugazi to me, honestly. But what they said was that if somebody had COVID in, a year ago, and then they were going to get on a plane, and 6 months later, and they tested positive for antibodies, that maybe, kind of, sort of, that's the case. It's a new case, blah, blah, blah. So they were adding all these cases that were clearly from months earlier. So that was the beginning of the issue. Just when we thought it was over, then they start saying that, well, we found some duplicate cases. And then they ended up deleting like 10,000 cases in one day, which played havoc with the numbers. And then after that, for about a good 2 weeks, they deleted probably close to another 10,000 more. So, I mean, they deleted close to 20,000 cases over, a few weeks period. And but again, playing with the numbers, those deletions then were also coming out of the daily total that we send to the CDC. So for a short time there, it looked like we had completely kicked COVID out of the state. There were some days where we almost had a negative number of COVID cases as a result of the deletions.
Right.
And at one point, Murphy tweets something out which was so inane that we were now fourth in the nation with the lowest number of cases per capita. We weren't. We were like middle of the nation in cases per capita. He was taking all those deleted cases as new. So he was adding the old cases as new before. Now he was taking old cases out and claiming them as and subtracting them from the new. It was a big mess. And to answer your question, not succinctly, because I know I'm going around in circles, but that's what this has been like. It's been going around in circles.
Well, yeah, that is
numbers.
Part of covering New Jersey politics is kind of things kind of go in circles, and then you get those reporters who come in and kind of, lay it out. And, we're seeing fewer and fewer people actually covering, that New Jersey press corps used to be so robust. I was a part of it and absolutely loved it. And you know what else I loved? One of the columns you just wrote, because it was interesting. you've been critical of Governor Murphy in some areas, but right now, as far as the mask mandate and where we are, you're saying, you know what, Governor Murphy, I think you can have your cake and eat it too. And I'll let you go into the column a little bit, because there's a little bit of something for everyone in this.
Well, so you have to understand where I'm coming from. So as a columnist, I'm putting my opinions out there every day. And then for the first, 10, 11 months of this, you would see people attacking me on Twitter or telling me I'm a shill for Murphy. I'm so far left. I would do anything for Phil Murphy. I thought Phil Murphy was doing a fine job managing the pandemic. I personally was Chicken Little on this. I wanted lockdowns. I wanted masks. I wanted all these things. But from the beginning, I was saying the same thing, that I am going to follow the science. I don't know better than an epidemiologist. I don't know better than the CDC. And so when they said, wash your groceries, I'm on my front porch wiping down groceries, right? When they say you don't have to do it anymore, I stopped doing it. You had to trust somebody. I choose to trust the science, right? And I thought that Phil Murphy was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
That's changed, clearly. He now is not following the science. I mean, the CDC, very specific in what they're saying, that if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. If you're not vaccinated, you still need to wear a mask indoors or when you can't socially distance. Yeah. And Murphy's just saying no, and honestly, there's ways to do this that would please nobody, but that would make it reasonable. For instance, and not in this column, but in another column, I said, listen, how about we have to wear masks inside? Everyone wears masks inside in places where people kind of have to go, like supermarkets or banks, right? If I'm taking my guitar in to the Guitar Center, I don't need to wear a mask anymore. I'm vaccinated, right? So, but I mean, it's just the messaging that he's been giving is just been terrible in recent weeks, and
yeah. Well,
I'm not sure what to say anymore about what he's doing.
Right. And that's it. The public gets confused, and then the people start fighting, and it's, this person's angry at that person. And really, I think most of us, we really just want to get back to normal. If there are people who are not vaccinated, that is their responsibility. That I can't force anybody to get a vaccine. Nobody can force me. You can't legislate behavior really on something like this, as far as, you have to, but you had some good ideas about saying, like you said, if you are in a grocery store, let's just everybody put them on, because you don't know who's going to be honest or who may just not want to say, because people have privacy issues, certainly, that they, and there might actually be legitimate medical reasons why some can't.
All the more reasons. Right. I mean, listen, right now, there's people with medical reasons who cannot get a vaccine. And then there's children, obviously, under 12 years old still can't get a vaccine. Right. And, thank God children have been spared the worst of this. But I have small children. I don't want to roll the dice with my kids to see how they do if they get COVID, right? So yeah, I'm fine with the idea of keeping, masks on in certain areas. Quite frankly, it's going to be a long time before, if I'm taking the train into New York, that I'm not going to be wearing a mask. Right? Yeah. Even if they say I don't have to. I mean, I don't know. I'm fine with better safe than sorry. What I'm not fine with is being told, right, that what I have to do, what I don't have to do. And I'm just so not fine with the governor and his very, very small insular group of advisors deciding that they know better than the CDC. That to me is the height of hubris and insanity.
And as a reporter, one of the first things last year in February, when this was starting to break, I went to some of the, the resources for journalists. And one of the things they kept saying is, remember, this is a medical story. Of course, politics is going to play into it. So you do try to, it's like, this is medical. Of course, our leaders are going to kind of put safety precautions in place, but again, it's not a political story. Really, at the heart of it, it is public health. Do you think, because he's running for re-election, that this is going to hurt him, help him?
I think right now it's definitely hurting him. I think I know in my social bubble, we're mostly my friends and family are mostly left center, right? And I'm hearing it from my friends and family that this is crazy, that he is acting like in a dictatorial manner. And to be fair to this dictatorial comment that I just made, as you well know, the governor of New Jersey is the most powerful office of the governor in America. And emergency powers really are dictatorial, right?
Well, and we have a soundbite I want to play because he's making an offer that some may find hard to refuse. Gerald, let's play that soundbite.
First Lady Tammy Murphy and I are putting our own skin in the game. Every New Jerseyan who gets their first shot before the end of May, and in this case, it includes everyone who has already been vaccinated over the past 5+ months, as well as those folks getting vaccinated over the course of the next few weeks or 2 weeks, is eligible to win a private dinner with the two of us, either at historic Drumthwacket, the official governor's residence in Princeton, or at the governor's shore home a couple of miles north of here, right here at Island Beach State Park.
Does he think he's Bruce Springsteen?
Right. Well, I mean, what exactly will be happening at the beach house? Will there be a clam bake? And by the way, he said anyone. And I'm starting to think, do you really want my teenage kids there? Because they could. And I tell you what, my daughter's going through MVC right now, trying to get her graduated driver's licenses. So, he may want to rethink that if a teen wins that. But it is kind of fun, to put that out there. Do you think that'll incentivize people to get the shot?
Not one person. And honestly, I just wrote about this. This is my next column. It's lovely that he's decided to go ahead and do this. But I don't understand, that's a certain level of, I guess I'm hoping it's kind of like tongue in cheek, haha, fun, and not should not be taken seriously. Right. Because really, we couldn't get Springsteen to sign on to something like this. Dinner with Springsteen, that might incentivize some people,
That's a good idea.
Where are you, Bruce?
I think we need to pitch this to him. Take this clip.
I think we just did.
Let's get that done. Jeff Edelstein, thank you so much for giving us your insight, analysis, and all of your thoughts, and taking time to us to just talk a little bit more about what's going on in the great state of New Jersey. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right. Stay with us as we continue New Jersey politics. Up next, we're going to be talking about the gubernatorial race, but not in 2021, 2025. In New Jersey, we're always looking ahead to the next election before the current one even ends. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Butler-Smith, and I'm the founder of Morph Mom. I'm thrilled to introduce our show, The Happy Hour. Each week, along with my 5 co-hosts, we will feature guest speakers who share personal journeys of strength and hope, along with tips and financial tools to bring inspiration to you to find your next step. You can watch The Happy Hour on News 12 Plus throughout the New York tri-state area. You can find us on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on Verizon Fios Channel 530 or Optimum Channel 61. See you Sunday.
Welcome to Distinctively Outdoors. Here at Distinctively Outdoors, we help our customers seek the ultimate experience for the best outdoor design. Distinctively Outdoors provides award-winning products that you can have right in your backyard, such as breathtaking kitchens and appliances, custom pergolas, quality outdoor furniture, and our relaxing hot tubs. Visit our store today in Parsippany, New Jersey on Route 46, or call us at 973-828-1288 to help you get started on your dream outdoor environment.
Welcome back to New Jersey Politics. I'm Laura Jones, and the New Jersey's governor's race is this November. Well, it is well underway with Governor Phil Murphy running for re-election and several Republicans working to take him on, including businessman and former Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli, as well as Pastor Phil Russo. Now, I just made my teleprompter jump a little bit ahead of myself there. There's plenty to talk about there, but this is New Jersey, and we're always looking a step ahead, including my next guest, Alan Steinberg, a columnist with InsiderNJ. And he just wrote a column recently about the governor's race in 2025. Alan, how are you?
I'm delighted to be here with you as always, Laura. And yes, we are always looking 1 or 2 or even 3 steps ahead.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So you in your column said there are 4 criteria the New Jersey GOP Republicans, they need to meet in 2025 if they're really going to have a chance of winning election in New Jersey. So can you talk about that first?
Yes. First, the big one is Donald Trump. You are going to see Trump having a meltdown that is going to be catastrophic with all of these various criminal charges and investigations. And finally, at long last, while Trumpianism will survive, Trump personally is going to be the worst albatross he's ever been in New Jersey. So in Declan O'Scanlan, the person I talked about as the one to watch in 2025, he is one of the few people who have come out against Trump. He was one of two people in the Senate who voted for a resolution censuring Trump and calling for his impeachment after January 6th, after the insurrection. So that criterion Declan meets better than anybody in the state. Secondly, is that the demographics of New Jersey have changed. It used to be the Republicans focused on getting the top, what we call the Northwest Quadrant: Morris, Sussex, Somerset, Hunterdon, and Warren, getting 100,000 majority out of those counties. Well, that's changed because now Somerset has become a blue Democrat county and Morris is trending purple. There is a new path, a new paradigm for a Republican who wants to be governor or U.S. senator. They have to come up with a huge margin in Monmouth and Ocean County. And Declan is one of the most popular politicians in years in Monmouth County, and he's well liked in Ocean County. Again, they have to take one additional state, and that's the running mate requirement. I'll get to that in a minute. Thirdly is issue proficiency. When I first went to work in state government in 1992, and I talked to I was working as a senior policy advisor in the Assembly Republican caucus. I asked people, what's the best way of learning the insides and outsides of state programs? And they said it's service somehow in the appropriation and budget process. Well, if you are experienced there, you know everything that's going on in these programs. And Declan has a world of experience there. He served as Assembly Budget Officer for 7 years. So if he debates, let's say, Mikey Sherrill, who many people expect to be the Democrat candidate for governor in 2025, he could really embarrass her in debate because he has a lot more knowledge of state programs than she has. But then there's the fourth criteria. You need one county other than Monmouth and Ocean. The likely county is Bergen, and there's a terrific running mate for him there, and Hawley Shapizi. Hawley Shapizi has star quality. And I think that almost any candidate in 2025 would want her as a running mate. In the future, she will run for governor. And I see a O'Scanlan-Shapizi ticket as a possible good winner, one with glamour and appeal to the voters of the state.
Yeah. No, you mentioned Bergen County. Bergen County is interesting because it used to be very Republican. Now it seems to be a little more blue because 100%. You have, right? Because I recently had Bridget Kelly, who people know from Bridgegate, who's running for clerk. And she's an uphill battle because it is so blue. But you're saying Bergen County by 2025 is going to be critical for Republicans in New Jersey.
Absolutely. It's one of those counties that now is blue, that it is possible for a Republican candidate, if he or she is a good candidate, to break through. And that would be a likely targeted county for the Republicans. And I think that an O'Scanlan-Shapizi ticket would be ideal.
Yeah. When I was first starting out, a lot of people would give me advice on, how to cover New Jersey politics and just little tips along the way to give me perspective. And I remember there was a columnist, Jim Goodman, who worked for the Trenton Times, and he said, as Hamilton goes, so does the state. So Hamilton is in Mercer County, and it's very representative of how the state of New Jersey looks. So are towns like that still a bellwether for judging how any election is going to go in New Jersey?
I had a great deal of admiration for Jim Goodman. I spent a lot of time with him, and his statement was well-founded, but Hamilton is not the only such town. And there are towns where Hamilton may back a loser. It all depends. But what Jim is right about is you have to focus on those swing towns. You have to focus on election night. How is this town going? How in Bergen County, how have the Republicans turned out? How have the Democrats turned out? But it is a winnable county. Yes, it is a blue county, but it is a winnable county for the Republicans.
I want to shift gears a little bit. Because Republicans in New Jersey, again, we're so blue, and we're already seeing Chris Christie starting to come up again. He is a contributor on a number of different networks, And a Monmouth University poll came out to say if Governor Chris Christie decides to seek the Republican nomination for president, he may not have the support of New Jersey. Now, you and I, we've talked a little bit about this before. He doesn't seem to be popular in New Jersey, even though he won re-election. But on the national level, he seems to do better outside the state of New Jersey. So what are your thoughts on that?
He will not be nominated for president. He has as much chance of winning the Republican nomination as I have of becoming the mayor of Damascus, Syria. Let me explain a little bit why I feel that way. Chris Christie is mistrusted because he is untrustworthy. The Trumpies do not trust him because he was out there, as he should have been, condemning Donald Trump for his claims of voter fraud. But the anti-Trumpers do not trust him because he's been on television a few times saying what a great president Trump was. So he's all over the block. In order to get the presidential nomination, you have to have solid constituencies behind you, and none of these constituencies will trust him. Furthermore, the fact that he's an unpopular governor in New Jersey will become known nationwide, and it is not going to help him if his opponents get out there and they're saying, you know, this man was so unpopular, you want him as your governor nationally. They will have commercials about Bridgegate. And I think the real reason he was hated in New Jersey, I use the word hated by the time he left office, is that the people did not want him just to use the governorship as a way of running a presidential campaign. They felt that he was neglecting state problems. The amazing thing, I'll say one thing for Christie that is a puzzlement to me. There's one great thing that he did, and that was lowering taxes for senior citizens in terms of making pension income non-taxable. That was a great thing he did. But his style is so noxious to the great majority of New Jersey voters, the way he confronted the teacher that time, saying, you don't have to do it. You don't have to teach. The way he dealt with people, that it's because of his style that he is so unpopular in New Jersey. And the good things he did, and he did a very good thing by the elimination of pensions for senior citizens, that gets drowned out. That gets forgotten. Everyone will think of Chris Christie as Chris Christie from Bridgegate and Chris Christie from Beach Chairgate, sitting on that beach chair and becoming an object of ridicule. And there's nothing worse in politics than becoming an object of ridicule.
Well, he took on the teachers unions as well, and was somewhat successful in getting the teachers to pay a little bit into, I don't remember if it was into their retirement or into their health care. So he did take on the NJEA, New Jersey Education Association, as one of the most powerful organizations in the states, lobbyists in the states. Another poll out that was talking about the most popular former governor in New Jersey. Did you see the poll?
I certainly did. I am one of Tom Kane's great admirers.
Yeah. So did that, well, I was thinking about former governors, and one name that came to mind that really always had me laughing, I did not cover him, was former Governor Byrne, because while he was in office, again, I didn't cover him at the time, but I heard a lot about he wasn't always as accessible, not accessible, but he wasn't as fun as he was until after office. And after office, anytime I would hear him talking, I would be about ready to, just split a gut laughing because he was really, really funny. But most favorite in New Jersey is former Governor Tom Kane. And he got a lot of he got noticed nationally because he was on the 9/11 commission. So he had the respect of both sides. Now, what is it about him that made him not just likable, but really unique and a statesman?
Tom Kane was popular both for his style and his substance. And at some point, the style and the substance merged. He was dedicated to the principle of the politics of inclusion, getting people from minority groups who had been excluded from New Jersey politics in the past, getting neighborhoods, people at the lower levels of the economic scale involved in decision-making. And he succeeded in that. And he had a style that was very warm and very inclusive, the opposite of Chris Christie. I'll make, by the way, just one quick aside. He did take on the teachers union, Chris Christie, which was fine. But the way he did it and to insult teachers and behave in that way did not go over well. But back to Kane. Kane had a very, very inclusive style, but he also did things substantively that were landmark. He was the education governor. He increased the teacher's salary so that more people would get into teaching. He was the environmental governor, and environment, as you know, is my field. He went out there. He looked at the dumps. He looked at sites that were poisonous and noxious. And he had plans, and he executed on these plans for the state to take action. He also, at the same time, was a person with remarkable appeal for a Republican to minority groups. He received the majority of the African-American vote in 1985. Now, no Republican in my lifetime has done as well with African-American voters as Tom Kane. So he is ranked highest. He deserves it. God bless him. He should live many happy, healthy years.
And a lot of people who may not have been alive during his campaign, or who are younger, they might know him from the famous New Jersey and You, perfect together. Can you say it the way he said it? Perfect together.
New Jersey and You, perfect together.
Perfect together, right? And that really resonated. That really resonated. I remember actually Christy Whitman was doing an ad at one point, and Tom Kane was in it, and he kind of, made a little cameo appearance in talking about New Jersey and You, perfect together.
You'll never have a better slogan than New Jersey and You, perfect together. They've tried other slogans.
Nothing has. That is a great point. Nothing has stuck quite like that. I know I use it all the time myself, and I don't know if everybody gets the reference, but maybe
he built pride. He built pride in New Jersey too. He would go on the talk shows, and you felt proud to have a governor like this. And you had a governor that was without scandal, with genuine warmth, with great intellect. I'll tell you, one of the greatest experiences I had in politics. I'm a history lover, and Tom Kane is also, and he found out about that. So at the 2008 convention, the whole time I spent with Tom Kane discussing various works of history, and his intellect is so profound, and it's wonderful that a governor who had to deal with day-to-day tough problems, problems that really required you to buckle down. He also had such a scope of American history, of world history, and I have a special feeling towards him because he started the movement for the inclusion of Holocaust education in the state education curriculum. I've been to Israel with Tom Kane, and when I was there, I recited a prayer and memorial for the 6 million and also for 100,000 victims over at Auschwitz-Birkenau who had been executed at a certain place. And it was a terrible burden on me. I walked away. I was so upset. I couldn't cry, though. And right behind me was a pat on the back from Tom Kane. And he said, boy, that really struck me, he said. And I said, this is a man with the most empathy of any person I've ever seen in politics. He's a man of goodness and greatness. And New Jersey, having a hero like Tom Kane is why a person like Donald Trump can never do well here. Donald Trump is the politics of exclusion, excluding minority groups, excluding people who are not of wealth. And Tom Kane was the opposite of that. And that's why when Trump has a meltdown here, it's going to catch a lot of Republicans, and someone like Declan O'Scanlan that I spoke of before, he'll be in good shape because he repudiated Trumpism.
Yeah, well, I believe Donald Trump is spending his summer up here in Bedminster at his home in Bedminster. But that'll be another story for another day. Alan Steinberg, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And hey, we're trying to reach out to former Governor Tom Kane. We want to have him on. We'd love to talk to him. So if you could put in a good word for us, that'd be great.
It will be my pleasure. I love doing this show, and I'm delighted. And I look forward also, you're a star, but I look forward to someday attending the Metro. I'm a Metropolitan Opera freak, and I want to see your daughter performing on stage.
Yeah, my daughter's a junior in high school, and she has her talent, beautiful voice. Of course, I'm a little bit biased, and I do hope one day that you see her performing on Broadway and also at the Met. So, Alan Steinberg, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today, and we look forward to having you back again.
Delighted, always delighted.
And we thank all of you for watching New Jersey Politics today with Laura Jones. And we want you to check us out at njonair.com and also at the NJ On Air app and streaming on social media. I'm Laura Jones. We will see you next time.